Psst, check this out.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Back Channel. In today's episode, I want to talk about cold outreach. I've been thinking a lot about cold outreach because one, I rail against it so hard within fundraising and in my materials, but two, a lot of founders have been asking me about it. And the reality is there are examples of cold outreach that work. And so I need to be a little bit more nuanced in the message and the guidance that I give to people. And so this episode is meant to be that a little bit. So first of all, I want to be a little bit more detailed around why cold is so bad, or like, what is the first principle around why cold generally doesn't work? The main thing that people need to understand is that when a venture capitalist is evaluating an opportunity to invest, one of the biggest doubts, one of the main things that drives their doubt is, if this is so good, why isn't it funded yet? If this is an opportunity that needs venture capital, is seeking venture capital, why has it not been funded yet? Okay. That is the core that drives all investor doubt, at least from the institutional side, which means if that doubt comes up, if that question ever comes up, if there isn't a good answer, if there isn't even a realistic answer or an answer for them to go in their head, or something that they can jump to of why it hasn't been funded yet that makes sense to them, well, then the answer is going to be because this is a shitty deal. I can't help shake it, but this is a shitty deal. You know, if it got like, why did it get to me? I have no idea why I'm seeing this deal other than no one else wants to see it. Everyone else passed on it. It's a shitty deal. Okay. So with that backdrop and first principle understanding of what drives investors to pass and why people think it's, people will obviously initially jump to things being a bad idea. Well, then we start thinking about cold email. Why did this email get to me cold and not through a trusted source or the other methodologies that everyone always talks about? Well, because it's a bad deal. Like, there's no way a good deal could come my way unless it's, there aren't a lot of good reasons. Okay. So what are the good reasons? What are some things that would work? Well, it happens and it works when the investor, like I said, can look at the reason and be like, that makes sense. I can understand why this message is getting to me. So one of the generic ways I always tell people is like, so with cold email, I'm not saying that cold email, cold outreach shouldn't be a part of a fundraise. It should be a part of every fundraise, but it should just be a small part of fundraisers. Most founders who feel like they don't have network are like, well, we're just going to do like 99% of my outreach is going to be cold and hope that it hits. The founders I see that do best in company building and fundraising have a secret weapon. Their secret weapon is a community of people, of experts, of peers in the startup industry that they can ask for help from at any time, guide them through processes like fundraising. I wanted to make that easier for everyone else to have access to by building the Adamant Fundraising program and community. This gives you access to 75 different training videos around the fundraising process to give you that expert starting point around how to actually execute fundraising, and then access to a community where we host live pitch deck teardowns and office hours every week to make sure that you can ask the minute questions on how your deck should be better, how you should reform your strategy, how you should answer investors who are reaching out to you that you don't know how to answer. So if you want to check that out, if you want to get the secret weapon that I think a lot of the best founders have, check out adamantfundraising.com and join us today. When in fact, they should probably be doing the effort to build up the network so that it's more like 95% warm introductions and 5% cold. And when you incorporate that 5% cold, a lot of times I guide people to say like, hey, look, I probably could have gotten in touch with you, but through warm introductions, but everything is moving so fast. And then enter in with the description of the company and the cold request. So that's one, it's relatively weak, but at least you're trying to answer the question You're always trying to answer the question, why did we do this cold? Okay. The one that I've been talking a lot about is traveling. Now, this is more about relationship building than maybe in the process, although you can do it then too. But traveling to different cities is a very good opportunity to reach out to people and say, hey, I would love to connect and, share what I'm doing, get your thoughts. Because if you say, hey, I'm in New York City this weekend, I will stay for an extra few days during the week. Usually live in California. I'm working on this thing. I saw that you do deals in the fintech space. Would love to share something and grab a coffee or even a Zoom while I'm in the same city as you. Like that outreach, while it seems so superficial, or that reasoning of why you're reaching out seems so superficial, it at least gives you a cover, a smoke screen for why this cold outreach is coming. Well, it's not because you're a bad deal, and it's not because you're like hustling to like get dollars right now. Just I'm reaching out because I'm in your city, and with this opportunity, might as well meet you in person, right? So that works. I think another thing that ends up working and is when the cold can actually happen a little bit more. It's a close cousin to the first thing, but when you actually have calendar density, when you actually have it set up, and like your first 2 weeks of meetings, honestly, have 20, 30 meetings, you can then start emailing people cold. And this description of, hey, like, I want to get to you, the warm outreach is going to be hard. My first 20 meetings are in the next couple weeks. If this space is interesting to you, would love to chat with you. That's pretty good because you, one, answer why you haven't, why you're reaching out cold. It's like, well, things are already moving. You actually have calendar density. You have a ton of meetings. And two, you're giving an indication of credibility. 20 people are already meeting with you. There might be something there that I'm not seeing in the short blurb or in this person's LinkedIn profile. Now, some of you might follow up and say, should I just say that I have calendar density, or I have 20 meetings, I have 30 meetings? Look, technically you could say anything and you could lie your way into a lot of things within fundraising, but I personally, one, don't promote or support the idea of lying in order to do anything within fundraising. I am, I'll be in the gray and I'll like tell the best story, but I just don't think it's very easy to keep up a lie. So I don't recommend it at all. Also, if you get somewhere because you lied, it's all going to come back to you at some point. So don't do that. Actually work to get the calendar density, the 20 to 30 meetings, and then start layering in the cold. That'll work best. One last addendum. I have notes here about the topic of cold. A lot of people are like, oh, but so-and-so fund said they take cold outreach. They like cold outreach. They encourage people to submit decks and reach out to them cold with deals. And I used to be like, look, I know they say that, but they don't really want that. They prefer you to reach out warm. I've actually, as I started thinking about this more in depth, I have a much more sophisticated view on this. And it's actually very clever. I don't know how many VCs think about it as like Machiavellian as I do, but here's my answer. I do think they prefer warm. I think they prefer warm as in, if you're a random startup, they need some sort of credibility and filter mechanism, which is a warm introduction. So they still prefer seeing deals come in through the warm channel. But if they have a form, or if they have something that's like, we are happy with cold emails, that means they'll get a ton of cold emails. And the reality is the top 1% of cold emails actually are great. Like if you are a company that is killing it and you're hockey sticking and you have an amazing background, then a lot of times you're like, look, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to waste time. I know people want to talk to me, so I'm just going to I'd rather just reach out. For those style of companies that are already killing it, you can tell in a really short email with like 5 bullet points, 3 bullet points, that this is worth talking to. And in that case, a VC absolutely wants to see that deal. And they want to see it cold because they don't want someone to say, oh, I'm not going to try to reach out to them because it's going to take too long to get a warm introduction. So they want the best, absolute best companies to reach out cold. In this situation, it benefits the VCs. Now, Where it hurts everyone else is, so if there are three categories of types of founders, first category is the absolutely best. The second fat middle is the maybes, like could be cool, it might not be good. And then the bottom is the total shit. Well, the fat middle founders, which are the vast majority of founders out there that are trying to get funded, cold does not benefit you. And the VCs who say that they're cool with cold are completely happy to just pass on everything there in order to find that top 1% of people that stand out on or via email. But for everyone else, you got to be honest with yourself if you think your cold email pops. And if not, you really should be focused on a warm connection. Okay. This was meant to be an episode talking about the reasons and the situations that cold outreach could work. Veered off a little bit in the end to talk about this one corner case where I was always confused, but now I think I cracked the code around it. But all these details, I hope it helps you better understand what it means to reach out to investors, where cold email has a place and where it doesn't have a place, and what you should be thinking about before you connect with your next investor. Thanks, and I'll see you on another episode of the Back Channel.